Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe, like, and click the notification bell for all the latest political insights and news updates. Let's give a quick shout out to the original source of today's story. This news comes from Live Now from Fox, and you can find the full article link in the description below. Today, we're diving into an important new poll from CNN that sheds light on President Trump's approval rating, key actions, and how Americans are reacting to his presidency. The poll, conducted between February 13 and February 17, 2025, surveyed 1,206 U.S. adults and has a margin of error of 3.1%. It reveals Trump's current approval rating sits at 47%, with 52% disapproving. But what are the main issues that are shaping public opinion? Let's take a look. One of the key highlights from the poll is the overwhelming sentiment that Trump's most significant action has been his work on securing the border. 28% of Americans identify this as his defining achievement. But beyond domestic policy, Trump's leadership on the global stage is also notable. He's widely regarded for taking a firm stance against authoritarian leaders like Russia's Vladimir Putin, China's Xi Jinping, and North Korea's Kim Jong-un. Trump's supporters argue that he is the only leader with the will and skill to challenge these figures, and his tough-on-adversaries approach is praised as being effective in protecting U.S. interests abroad. Under his leadership, the U.S. has taken a hardline stance which many believe is necessary to maintain global stability and safeguard democratic values. Critics may point to his rhetoric, but his administration believes that strength and resolve are key in dealing with these global challenges. Now, turning to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, Trump's stance has sparked some debate. His team believes that Putin's aggression could have been avoided if Trump were still in office, and his frustration with Ukraine's president, Volodymyr Zelensky, is clear. Trump's administration emphasizes that Europe has been too passive in addressing its own defense needs and is quick to point fingers at the U.S. for not doing enough. Trump's approach is centered around the belief that European countries should shoulder more of the defense burden, particularly within NATO. His team argues that the U.S. taxpayers should not bear the entire cost of European security, and that NATO members need to meet their defense spending commitments, which have been a source of frustration for Trump in the past. Shifting gears to domestic policy, Trump's team is also focusing on tax relief through the redistribution of government savings. This concept involves returning a portion of the federal savings, generated by increased efficiency within government agencies, back to the public in the form of DOGE dividend checks. The plan is simple. A portion of the savings would be allocated to paying down the national debt, while 20% would be returned to taxpayers. Critics argue that this could further complicate the fiscal situation, but Trump's team counters by pointing out that the government is wasting significant sums on inefficiencies that could be better spent elsewhere. By directly returning this money to taxpayers, they believe this would help to stimulate the economy, offering Americans some relief while addressing the growing national debt. This proposal reflects Trump's ongoing commitment to reducing government waste and ensuring that the taxpayers' money is being spent in a way that benefits them. Another major issue for Trump's team is President Zelensky's reluctance to negotiate a peace settlement with Russia. The administration expresses frustration, claiming that Zelensky's refusal to engage in meaningful discussions prolongs the conflict and puts more lives at risk. Trump has consistently said that the war could have ended sooner if Ukraine were open to negotiation. The Trump administration believes that the U.S. is in a unique position to broker peace, especially by leveraging Ukraine's natural resources and creating economic incentives for both sides to come to the table. Trump's team argues that without a peaceful resolution, Ukraine and Europe will continue to face instability, which could spill over into other areas of the world. They believe that the U.S. must prioritize peace talks and economic stabilization to prevent further escalation. Let's move on to immigration policy. Trump has made it clear that his focus on securing the U.S. border is central to his platform. His administration is working aggressively to deport criminal illegal aliens. According to Trump's team, the previous administration allowed these individuals to remain in the U.S., and now it's time to take action. The deportation push has ramped up in recent months, with Trump's team working closely with agencies like ICE, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Department of Justice to expedite the process. Trump argues that immigration reform is necessary to protect American citizens and maintain national security. The key here is speed and efficiency, ensuring that illegal aliens, particularly those with criminal records, are swiftly removed from U.S. soil. This policy is designed to send a clear message. The U.S. will not tolerate illegal immigration, and those who break the law must be held accountable. Whether you agree with the approach or not, it's a core tenet of Trump's immigration agenda. On the domestic front, the Trump administration is pushing for drastic reforms in government agencies, particularly the IRS. The recent layoff of 3,500 IRS workers is a part of a broader initiative to cut down on government inefficiencies. While critics argue that these cuts could impact the agency's ability to collect taxes, the administration insists that this move is necessary for streamlining operations. Trump's team defends these cuts, saying that not all IRS employees are effectively contributing to the agency's mission, and many are bogged down with redundant tasks. By cutting back on the workforce and improving efficiency, Trump's team believes that the agency will be better equipped to handle its core responsibilities without unnecessary bureaucracy. The overarching goal is clear: make the federal government more efficient and reduce waste at every level. The Trump administration is adamant that reforming the IRS is just one piece of the puzzle, and the ultimate goal is a leaner, more effective government that works in the best interests of taxpayers. Sure, let's continue expanding the script. Now, moving on to another critical area, fiscal responsibility. A large part of Trump's platform centers around addressing the national debt. The Trump administration has consistently argued that the U.S. government is overspending, which is contributing to skyrocketing debt levels. In recent years, there's been constant debate in Congress about raising the debt ceiling. Trump has repeatedly pointed out that the U.S. must take a more responsible approach to its finances, stressing that reckless spending must be curbed to prevent further economic instability. Trump's team believes that their approach, cutting wasteful government spending, will go a long way in addressing the country's fiscal problems. They believe that without addressing these financial issues head-on, the country will continue to face challenges in the form of rising inflation, reduced economic growth, and increasing taxes. Trump's stance is clear. It's time for a major overhaul of how the government handles its spending. Another topic Trump's team is vocal about is what they refer to as the deep state. The administration is heavily focused on reforming the bureaucracy, specifically targeting career government employees who are not aligned with the president's policies. Trump's team argues that unelected bureaucrats, who often hold positions for life, have too much power and influence in shaping policy without being held accountable to the American people. They argue that these bureaucrats frequently resist change, pushing forward their own agendas and disregarding the will of the voters who elected the president. To address this, Trump's administration is working to remove or replace government officials who they believe are obstructing progress. Trump's team contends that draining the swamp and ensuring that the government is run by individuals who are directly accountable to voters will create a more efficient and responsive government. By implementing more effective personnel management and limiting the influence of bureaucrats, the administration believes it can bring real change to Washington. This effort is seen as crucial in ensuring that future administrations can follow through on their agendas without being stymied by entrenched government elites. Finally, we can't overlook the role of the media in shaping public perception of Trump's policies. According to Trump's team, the media has often misrepresented or mischaracterized the administration's actions, especially in their coverage of controversial topics like immigration, foreign policy, and government reforms. Trump's team argues that the media's coverage of his policies is often biased, portraying his actions in a negative light, even when they believe these actions are in the best interest of the American people. This narrative has led to a polarized public perception of Trump's presidency, with many voters turning to alternative media sources to get a more favorable view of his administration's policies. Despite this, Trump's team remains steadfast in their belief that they're making real progress. They argue that their policies are focused on the American people, and that the media, by focusing on sensational stories, often misses the bigger picture of the changes they're working to implement. What's clear from the CNN poll is that Americans are deeply divided on Trump's actions, but they agree on one thing: change is needed, especially when it comes to addressing the national debt and everyday prices. So, what do you think? Do you agree with Trump's policies on border security and government reform? Or do you think there's room for improvement? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We'll be bringing you more political analysis and updates in the future. Stay tuned for more in-depth discussions, and see you in the next video.